my name is Jillian Haluli. I am joined by Sarah Dowell, Jose Casares, and Rancho Rainey. Together for our Teach Back project, we will be discussing data mining. So let's jump right into it. So, what is data mining? Data mining is the process of discovering patterns, relationships, and useful information from large data sets using various statistical, machine learning, and computational techniques. It involves analyzing data from different perspectives and summarizing it into useful insights to support decision making and predictive modeling. So, at its core, data mining seeks to uncover hidden patterns in data by automatically analyzing and processing vast amounts of information, typically from databases, to extract knowledge that can be used for various purposes, such as prediction, classification, clustering, and association. So, in short, data mining plays a crucial role in making sense of vast amounts of data, helping organizations make informed decisions, predict trends, and discover hidden insights. So, as a tool overview, data mining takes huge piles of data and analyzes it to uncover useful insights that may not have been obvious from plain sight. So these insights can be used by different people, companies, industries, etc. to better make smarter decisions. So now I will be going over the techniques and I'll be going over 5 of them that are used in data mining. We'll be going over classification, then after that we'll be going over regression and then clustering, and then moving on to association rule mining, and then also anomaly detection or outlier detection. So continuing on, for number one, for classification, so what it is by definition, classification is a supervised learning technique that involves the predicting the categorical label of an object based on its features. So in classification, the goal is to assign data points to a predefined class or category. So how it works is the algorithm is trained on a labeled dataset with known class labels. The model learns a relationship between input features and the target class. And once trained, the model can predict the class of the unseen data. So some examples of these we will go over or that could be used are email spam detection, so spam or not spam. That's kind of common that we all use. Credit card fraud detection, like fraudulent or non-fraudulent transactions, and or disease diagnosis. So examples is predicting whether a patient has a particular disease. I'll be moving on to technique number 2, which is regression. So again, by definition, regression is another supervised learning technique used to predict continuous numeric values based on input features. The goal is to model the relationship between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables. So how this one works is like classification, regression uses labeled data. The model learns a relationship between the features and the continuous target value. Some examples of these would be predicting house prices based on factors like the size, location, its amenities, forecasting sales revenue on stock prices, or estimating customer lifetime value. So number 3 we'll be moving on is to clustering. So it is an unsupervised learning technique used to group data into clusters or subsets based on similarities. So unlike classification, there are no predefined labels, and the algorithm tries to find inherent patterns in the data. So how this one works is the algorithm groups data into clusters such as that data points within each cluster are more similar to each other than those that are not, as shown in the picture. You can see how based on this data, each one is different on each other, where the big orange one, the big orange group, the green group, the purple group, they're more similar to each other than the others. So, similarity is often measured using distant metrics such as Euclidean distance. So, an example of these is customer segmentation in marketing, so grouping customers based on their purchasing behavior. Document clustering in text mining, such as grouping similar documents together, or image segmentation in computer vision, so dividing an image into regions of similar color or texture. So, number 4 we'll be talking about is association rule mining. So it is the technique that is used to find relationships between variables in large data sets. It identifies sets of items that frequently co-occur together and can be used for predictive analysis. So how this one works is the algorithm searches for frequent item sets in transaction data or other data types, and they generate association rules, which highlights the relationship between items or events. So these roles are often evaluated using measures like support, confidence, and lift. Some examples: market basket analysis. So example is if a customer buys bread, they are likely to buy butter. Or web page analysis, where a user who visits our particular product page are likely to visit related product pages as well. And lastly, I will be talking about anomaly detection or outlier detection. So it is a technique that is used to identify unusual data points that do not conform to the expected behavior or pattern. So these data points are known as outliers and may represent rare or interesting events. So how this one works is the algorithm is trained to recognize normal patterns in the data and identifies data points that deviate significantly from these patterns, so outliers. So they could be caused, these outliers, by fraud, errors, or novel events. So some examples are fraud detection in baking, such as identifying unusual transactions, intrusion detection in network security, like detecting unusual network activity, and quality control in manufacturing, such as detecting defective items. So next, moving on to Rantrey, we'll be speaking about how these steps are broken down one by one in data mining. Thank you.
Step 1. Define an objective. You will want to start with a clear objective. This will pertain with the problem that you are trying to solve or give informative information about a decision being made. Having a well-crafted objective is vital to focus on your efforts. This can be as simple as identifying a certain trend in your company's product feedback. Step 2. Collect and explore data. Gathering relevant data to an objective, which can come from a various of sources like feedback and databases. Once data has been gathered, you will want to explore it and look for trends, patterns, outliners, and relationships. Step 3. Pre-process the data. When it comes to raw data, it can often have an unclear picture to explore. In this step, you'll want to remove duplicates, handle missing values, and ensure consistency to make the data ready to be analyzed. Step 4. Choose the data mining technique. Depending on the data, you will want to choose the appropriate technique based on your objective. These techniques include classification, regression, clustering, associated rule mining, and anomaly detection. Step 5. Apply algorithms. Algorithms are the tools that help you uncover patterns or make predictions. This can mean applying k-means clustering. Step 6. Evaluate. After applying the algorithm, it is time to evaluate the results or its performance. This will ensure your model is reliable and still aligns with your objective. You can also test and evaluate multiple algorithms to find the best fit. Step 7. Visualize results. Creating a visualization can help your findings be understandable and can be communicated effectively. Most common visualizations used are charts and graphs. Step 8, which is deploy. This is the final step, is to deploy your findings. So this is an actionable step to make an informed data-driven decision based on your objective.
We're just going to go over here of a brief example that could be utilized in a retail clothing business, and it's just going to walk us through the steps that we just went over. And so for our first step would be define an objective. In this scenario, a retail clothing business, they want to increase their sales for the next fiscal year by creating target markets. And then for our second step, we're going to collect data, which could include sales records, inventory details, frequency of visits, customer demographics, and transaction totals for that last year. We're going to pre-process that by cleaning our file. This can include removing duplicates, outliers, any blank spaces. We can also redefine our structure to make it a lot easier to understand, better clarity. And then for our data mining technique, we're going with clustering. Our next set of steps here, we're going to apply our algorithm, which is going to be the k-means clustering. For our next step, as you can see, we broke down 3 different clusters. Our first one is our budget buyers. They're the ones who spend the lowest totals per year. They only visit between 5 to 10 times per year, and they only focus on specific categories. Our second cluster is going to be our loyal shoppers, and they're the ones who do the moderate spending. They visit quite regularly, and they have a larger range of items. And our last cluster is going to be our top spenders. They're the ones who spend a lot, they have very frequent visits, and they buy from a large variety of products. The 7th step is to visualize our results. So here I have a graph. It kind of got cut off a little bit on the right side. However, our x-axis, that's going to show our total spending. Our y-axis is going to be our frequency of visits per year, and our z-axis is going to do the categories purchased. All right, so here on our last step, we're going to deploy, which means we are going to take those objectives that we did in the beginning, and this is how we're going to reach that goal by increasing sales. And so for our first cluster, what we may want to consider is offering discounts to attract more visits. For our second cluster, we may want to create loyalty programs for our consistent shoppers. And then for our last cluster, these are going to be our top spenders. We want to recommend premium products or exclusive offers to keep the engagement high. Along with our last example, I also wanted to include an example of real world. So here we have 2 huge business powerhouses, which is Walmart and Netflix, and they both utilize data to enrich their customers, to deploy better results, to achieve their goals. And so to start off with Netflix, they use data mining to target specific segments based on user preferences, demographics, viewing times, ratings, popular searches, etc. And this is to optimize performance for their users. They use clustering to promote likely watch genres based on viewing pattern trends, and they can even identify possible users who are likely to cancel their subscriptions and propose a counteroffer or recommendation to avoid losing that customer base. Search inquiries and clicks are just 2 small examples of data points that Netflix analysts collect to determine how can they adjust the content that they put out. And then moving on to Walmart, here I found an article from Walmart Global Tech, and a quote in there is, "Reliable data helps people do their jobs better." So the goal is to make informed decisions faster. With just a single click on an item, Walmart will quickly recognize ideas on what a customer is looking for and offer personalized product recommendations. They are using data to exceed expectations and, of course, their well-known motto, save money and live better. I also wanted to include an example of how we can utilize codes such as Python to kind of help us with that data mining. Personally, I like to use Google Colab to run codes. However, many different platforms are available. I also use the help of ChatGPT to kind of walk me through the steps. And so here I just took snippets of the codes so you could kind of see the different steps. They have it labeled by step 1 to load the data set. And in this example, they categorize them by customer ID, age, tenure, monthly charges, complaints, and churn. In these next few steps, you can see one of them is to explore data, pre-processing that data, so that could be like cleaning our data. And then step 4, split into a train and test. And then our last set of steps is training a model, making our predictions, and evaluating our model. And then this could be how we're going to deploy eventually in the future. And then we can also visualize feature importance. We could also use the help of visuals such as charts, pivot tables, and they are accessible through platforms like Excel.
For business values, things such as improved decision-making, increased sales revenue, cost reduction, personalized marketing, risk management, customer retention, improved forecasting, and competitive edge. Data mining allows for hidden patterns that the company may have looked past before. Especially for growing companies, it is important to maintain consistency, uniqueness, and a competitive edge. The business values listed are things they can use as a roadmap to keep the companies aware of what maintains growth. Improved decision making is important to understand the customer. What do they need, and how can we tailor to each customer that visits the company? Although tailoring to every customer may seem difficult and expensive, data mining can help with personalized marketing that can become automatic, making it one less thing to worry about, yet offering the same quality. With real-time analysis, decision-making becomes easier because altering decisions can make it instant instead of waiting for reports that may be delayed based off quarter or yearly. Data mining also skips the huge step of manually finding the information needed to understand what can increase revenue, but data mining in some industries become lethal because understanding marketing trends in the way they maintain a competitive edge. The great thing about data mining is it creates revenue because it becomes cost efficient when decisions are made correctly. Increased revenue will come based off the decisions a company makes when gathering information in their analysis, thus giving huge importance to the information gathering when you are data mining. When we speak on marketing, in retail spaces or in personal selling situations, client retention is important. As mentioned in many marketing classes, client retention is very important and it costs less to maintain a client rather than add a new one. Such as the example of Netflix. Netflix has learned to tailor every customer. As a new example, Spotify just released their yearly Spotify Wrapped in which they introduce music patterns, and this becomes a long-awaited event for many Spotify users. But also through the year, Spotify will suggest new music based on music you listen to and trends, and this is all done by data mining. This has allowed companies to also suggest things that may be tailored specifically to you, and this is all done just automatically based off what you've listened to or watched in the past. Early on, without data mining, some risks companies made were a gamble, but now the management of risk is easier understood and assessed. In larger, smaller scale companies have taken risk management seriously in both operational and strategic planning. Review and tracking has become automated, and data mining has become an easier tool that has helped companies stay afloat. With automatic data analysis, companies are aware when a risk tactic can become too large before it becomes detrimental to a company. Data mining has helped in risk analysis. In many cases, some companies have used data mining to set a risk level tactic in which companies can set situations up based on how much of a risk it could be for urgent or non-urgent scenarios. When dealing with risk management, visualization for stakeholders and business partners is important. When communicating these findings, and that data mining has made it easier when introducing these ideas. Data mining has allowed, when introducing a risk to stakeholders and business partners, a proper visualization to where it's understood and many can share their opinion on it in an easier manner. Lastly, data mining has improved forecasting in a broader scale but has helped companies work in very specific findings. Picking specific data has allowed for companies to improve approaches and have advanced predictions for future marketing trends. Forecasting is really the main factor for data mining, and this allows companies to gain that competitive edge. By companies understanding customer purchasing behaviors, companies can alter their approaches to every market segment and maintain that edge that many companies want. These are the business values that maintain growth and relevance and will continue to expand to understand how companies can become more successful. These values have become a staple to every company, and these are pretty much the values that every company uses to ensure that they're doing well and maintain relevance in the market. In conclusion, we have come a long way when understanding data analysis, and with data mining, the age of manual data analysis has become a tactic of the past. With their new age technology and the improvement of data gathering and storing, companies have been able to automate how companies make decisions and predict market trends. Data mining is growing and has become the method for small and large companies to ensure growth. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.